Duality, an opposition or contrast. I think we all have two sides. You hear people talk about their inner dreamer, but that's how I live my everyday life, balanced only a little bit by my inner realist. I wanted to play on this concept for today's video, showing my two sides, going ham with these brighter pressed pigments and loving the softer side as well. I also need to say a huge thank you to my little sister for sitting online for over 12 hours in order to help me get my hands on this palette while I was at work. Madeline, you are the absolute best, a true rock star. I hope you guys enjoy today's video. Please subscribe if you are new. I'm going to be using this palette a lot more in the very near future. So because today's look is going to be all about duality, and you guys know that I live here, like this is the majority of me, I think first we will start with the more neutral side, because I know that a lot of you who purchase this will be interested in like pops of color, but maybe not like. And also because I know a lot of my audience in general is on the more like neutral kind of like soft glam. That said, even my softer side has a little bit of drama in it, so you guys know I'm tapping into this mustardy shade. This is called Camelot. When I swatched this earlier, I actually really did enjoy this shade, so I am the most looking forward to how this like kind of applies to the eyes. Those of you who have been on my channel before, you guys know that I essentially think that swatches are useless, especially when it comes to like a pressed pigment in general, simply because like the way that it swatches is not the same as it will apply if you use that soft like stippling motion and then you kind of like start feathering it out. So I'm just like barely tapping into the pan, because I did notice even like with my swatches, there's a little bit of like kickback. It is like a very powdery formula. I love that this has a little mirror. We're going to start stippling that right here into our transition. Once we kind of get that like placed where we want it, we're gonna switch, like I said, to that soft buffing motion. I've never used a pure shadow before, so I had no like preconceived notions about them. I know that Kristi mentioned that this is a different formula than say their traditional eyeshadows, not like customary to her specifically, just different in general. You guys know how picky I am about my yellows. I love that this is like a nice, like, it's not mustardy, but it's not quite canary. It's like those two like, I will say that like I love the way that that blended out. I love kind of what it's already making my eyes look so freaking green. I secretly want to use all of these, but I don't think that's gonna happen today. I'm gonna pick up just a pinch of copper boxes. I'm gonna buff that into the Camelot color, but I'm not gonna overrun the Camelot color because I want you to be able to see like each distinct color. In general, I feel like people are more comfortable with like their neutral colors than they are with the idea of having like colors in a palette. Whereas like for me, I see colors and I'm like, yeah, give it to me, let's go. And then on the neutral side, I'm like, I don't know, I could use this or I could use that. And I have a lot more like back and forth with those. I'm gonna pick up a little bit of Told You just because I have to. I am going to be hitting a little bit under that Copper Boxes color. So far, I'm like pretty pleased with the way that these are blending. I will say they're more powdery than I was anticipating and not just in a pressed pigment kind of way. Again, I've never used a Pure Cosmetics eyeshadow before. You know, I'm not mad at it. I'm definitely not mad at it, but it is not exactly what I was expecting. They are beautiful. I am barely tapping into the palette just so that I can like get some of that pigment without displacing too much of the color, because I want this to last for a while because it is limited edition. And unlike a lot of people in the beauty community or here on YouTube or just like in life, I will hit pan on every single shade. I'm gonna tap a little bit more of that P. Louise. All right, and then I'm gonna pick up Golden Ticket, and Golden Ticket we're gonna pack. Ooh, that is so beautiful. I couldn't decide between doing a cut crease and doing a halo eye, so I'm gonna do a cut halo. I'm gonna run that Camelot color, which is that like canary yellow mixed with mustard. I'm gonna start with very soft sweeps right here in the very outer corner, like so. That way I can make sure that all of these colors are kind of melting together, because I do want it to be like a very like blown out kind of color. So I'm going to blow that out here on the side and then start to sweep down and in, because even though I'm using more neutral shades, you guys know that even my more tame side is a little bit crazy. What I'm like really living for in this yellow in particular is that She's strong, but she like melts into everything else. Picking up this little like poofy brush, and we are going to dip into copper boxes, and we are going to be stippling that right here on the outer corner and throughout the entire lash line. I've mentioned Kristi once or twice here on this channel. You guys know that I started body painting because I watched Jordan Hans's tutorials, and then I started doing YouTube in general because of watching like Rawbeautykristi, and I was also like super into glam and gore at the time. But Kristi has always been that YouTuber for me that I just like. I'm gonna pick up a little bit of You're Not My Real Dad. It's that nice chocolatey brown, and we're gonna smoke that right along that lower lash line. So we're building that gradient like almost backwards. And I think because I already have this little poofy brush out, I'm gonna pick up just a little bit of that and hit the very inner corner and then the outer corner as well, mostly concentrating it right here on the very outer upper corner so that we can also connect it with what's down here so it looks like a nice like. Because they were so kind as to send me this, I don't even know if it's waterproof, but I'm gonna take this liner that they sent in the package. I'm gonna put it in our waterline. Usually people have a hard time with colorful shades because they're like, I don't know how to use any of them. The difficulty that I have though is I want to use them all, and we very well might. So since today's video is dedicated to the duality of our personalities, my two personalities are the realist and the dreamer. And you know what people say about dreamers? They always have their heads in the clouds. So that is exactly what we are going to be working on today. The first color we're going to use from our colorful side is going to be the color Dandelion, because you guys know I can't avoid the yellows. We are going to do something rather similar to what we did on the other side. We are starting first with a nice stippling motion. We're gonna go in with Garden State. Drop a comment down below letting me know like what your two sides are. For me, the biggest part of my personality is a dreamer. Very ambitious, I love to learn, I like to try new things. I can be rather impulsive at times, mostly just like with my emotions. But on the other hand, like I'm pretty good at saving money. I really believe investing time and money into like education, growing as a person. I really like beauty makeup, but I'm not afraid to turn myself into a zombie or paint myself to look kind of ugly because I think it's super fun. I'm gonna do the same thing that I did on the other side and kind of do like a haloed cut. This is the color Cafe Disco. I'm going into Hurtful, and we are gonna tip tap patty whack that right here on the very inner corner as well as on the outer corner. I feel like a lot of times when people like announce a launch, they announce it like weeks in advance. Whereas with this one, like as soon as I saw it, she posted the teaser and then it was like, what, the next day? I'm not much of a feeding frenzy kind of gal. Had I been off that day, I would have sat there online myself and had no problems. And actually like at a certain point, because I felt so bad that my sister had been sitting there for a while, you know, I was like, hey, if you need to go to bed, if you need to like give up on this whole thing, like I totally understand, thank you so much. And she was like, no, I really don't mind, because at that point I tried to log on and I was number like 46,000 and some change, and my sister was 12. She was like 12,000 and she got online like immediately. And like, it was just like a whole freaking mess. I felt bad, you know, taking her whole day to do something like that. So I was like, no, seriously, like if you gotta go to bed, if you have anywhere to like be, if you gotta go, like, she's like, no, it's not a big deal. And then she sat there and, you know, without her help, I would not have this. I would not have this. I wouldn't be making this video. And so I feel incredibly fortunate and very, very, very thankful. For our lower lash line, I'm gonna pick up the Side Effect color, which is like this gorgeous, gorgeous pink. But also in general, Barbasol shaving cream, specifically Barbasol, is like the best one. Is great at getting out like red dyes. When I was working on the set of The Walking Dead, we had to do a shot where somebody gets like blood all over their hands. And of course in film, you do take after take after take. So in between takes, to wash all the blood off of the actor's hands and get the stain off, they would just like wash his hands in, he would like soak his hands a little bit in some Barbasol shaving cream, and then they would like pour water over it and like let it all go away, and it took it off like perfect. Her intended also wasn't sitting there for like however long you would normally wear your makeup, but that is a tip that I picked up. So far, I really like the pink. I like the way that it like smokes out. I like that it keeps its vibrancy, and I like the color purple that this is. I don't mind that it's a pressed pigment. I'm taking a little bit more of that Cafe Disco color and just like punching it up right here in the inner corner as well. This is like your basic two sides of me, but the truth is that if we're gonna be a dreamer, we're gonna be like a dreamer, you know what I mean? All right, you guys, so in an effort to make this portion of the video a little bit more succinct, I decided to go ahead and do a voiceover so that you guys know what we're doing here is we are going to be stippling up and building up those pressed pigment colors all over our face. I kind of jumped around a little bit through this portion of the tutorial because I wasn't exactly sure where I wanted our optical illusion or like our stripe of like real skin to be popping through, so please ignore that. As far as the clouds and the night sky goes, it's actually a pretty simple technique. You're going to pick up a flat packing brush, and instead of using like a white paint for this one because I wanted to continue playing with some of the shadows in this palette, I instead picked up the P. Louise base and we stippled out a little cumulonimbus shape. I then followed up with the color Lumos and hit all of the high points or the peaks of those clouds because that is where they would be the most bright. I also swiped a little bit of that Cafe Disco color because it's such a beautiful shimmer into the face as well to give our clouds a more like whimsical and fantastical feel. I took a white liquid liner and really started to emphasize some of those peaks. I added dots and then drew out a few stars as well. The neck and décolletage are actually just a series of bright, colorful body paints followed by some white stripes and a few dots to tie it in. And there you have it. Overall, I really love the colors. I especially love the fact that it's mostly matte because I don't know about you guys, and I know this is true for Kristi as well, but I do prefer a more matte palette because if I ever need a shimmer, I would prefer to add that as like a top layer or add that myself. So I really appreciate the fact that this is majority matte. I love that. I definitely think that this side of the palette is, you know, very well suited for those of you who are super into like the more neutrals, but it's nice and like smoky and warm. So overall, I just couldn't be happier. I do think that it's a wonderful palette. I love the concept. I love the way that it turned out. I like how like compact it is because, you know, I was able to sit there and like use the mirror and actually like do my makeup using just this palette. So I just think it was overall like really well thought out, and I just couldn't be happier for Kristi this in the whole entire year of 2020 with her pregnancy, her collaboration finally hitting 1 million subscribers. You know, in my opinion, nobody deserves it as much as she does. Kristi, if you happen to see this, which I don't think you will, hurtful. But there's something that I have literally always wanted to say to you, and it's a little hard after all this time, but I am your real dad. Thank you guys so much for checking out this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that, you know, if this isn't your vibe, I hope that you enjoyed this neutral side. Go ahead and subscribe if you're not already. I will be using this palette a lot more here in the future. I hope you have a very fun, safe, healthy day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. This is gonna be my entire pumpkin spice jam. My brush. Off camera, I paid a hurtful tribute. Is all going. I think we're gonna do like an optical illusion kind of. All a good idea. They're all speaking to me, yelling. Really, they're yelling. I'm way too excited.